Adolf Hitler.
Fought in the war, yes. He was wounded when the war was over. Take a guess who the German army kicked out when they were forced to reduce the size of their army. Now put this in perspective. You are the leader of Germany. You have to cut back your military because Britain, France, and the United States tell you you have to because you lost and you started the war. Who are you going to kick out? The weakest. The ones that are blinded by the gas. Are you going to keep your best, healthiest? Hitler's kicked out. The Allies forced the Germans to kick him out. Could you say, this might be a stretch, I'll warn you, but could you say the forced reduction of the German army actually gave the world Hitler?
I mean, he already got roughed up. I mean, that's just like pushing over the edge. Yeah,
but when he was in the army, he wanted to stay in the army. He would have made a career out of it. It was finally something he could do. All right, so is it on the Allies' hands that the world had to deal with Hitler? What do you think?
No, that's in his hands. Yeah. Just because he was bad being. Because you don't have the good cards in your hands, doesn't mean you have to kill people. I mean, not saying he did it himself, but he told people to.
Okay. And the reason why I ask that is one historian actually definitely suggested it's possible to say that.
It's the art school's fault.
It's what?
The art school's fault.
The art school for kicking him out.
They didn't kick him out. He was never in.
Well, yeah, they didn't let him in. And he wanted to be an architect also. Imagine how different history would have been if he would have been either a soldier, an architect, or artist. But God forbid, a politician. Yeah, one way of putting it. We'll talk more about that as we go through. Okay, so World War I, 1914 to 1918. What did Winston Churchill say in the beginning of the video? That this is actually how long of a war? 30 years. Why? Do the math. Somebody just came from math class.
World War II?
Take a guess when World War II ends.
45.
45, so 31. Okay, he rounded.
Good job.
You're giving me a blank look. It started in 1914. It ends in 45, so that's 31 years. Certainly
Why did they have to separate them?
Well, there wasn't fighting after 1918, but you might as well say World War I led to World War II. And we'll definitely explore that in a history class near you. Okay, on we go. Shade, please.
Progressivism was still current.
Well, no, wait. I want you to say that word real loud.
Progressivism.
No, the one above that.
Context.
This is the context of the war. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Progressivism was still occurring, although many historians claim one ended progressive movement due to violence and mistrust in government and society. Most historians claim the 19th Amendment was the end of the progressivism.
What do you think, Shade? Is the 19th Amendment the end? Sure. Did World War I end the progressive movement, Madison? It what? Had a part in it? I think either one of those can be historically defended, depending how you write your thesis and support it. Very good. This is the context. Okay, key theme. Go grow.
The United States involvement in World War I resulted in a significant economic, cultural, and political development in the United States between 1914 and 1919. What was the social, economic, and political impact of the U.S. participation in the First World War?
Okay, and notice 1917 to 1918. Are you confused now, Matt? Didn't I just say 1914? Why do I have 1917 up there?
I don't know.
That's when the U.S. joined. World War I had been going on before the U.S. gets in 1917. And one of the big reasons it gets in 1917 is because something happens over in Russia. Anybody know what happened in Russia? Well, no, that's before 19. Russia was in when that happened. Something big happened over there. The Russian Revolution. Who was the ruling monarchy, the family of Russia that were all killed in 1917? The Romanovs. Here we go. except for possibly, does anybody know the heir who might not have been killed? Go ahead. Anastasia. You've seen the Disney movies. Did she actually live? You didn't watch the Disney movie.
What Disney movie?
It's called Anastasia.
What do you think?
No.
What do you think, Katie? Did Anastasia live? Possible. When Russia drops out of the war, the United States had to get in. Okay? And that's 1917. So think of that year. Okay, so what started this mess? What started it? Well, several factors go into the hat, and then it explodes.
That person being assassinated.
That didn't help anything at all. The assassination of the Austrian Archduke Franz Ferdinand.
I love that.
See, what I did was one time I put all of the, and you know, I have to say this. This happened like 20 some years ago. It was a year after, well, 20 some years ago. Let's just say that. I put all the factors that start World War I into a bucket, and then I went boom, so it would like explode into a powder keg. That's what they called it, the Balkan powder keg. That's where the Austrian Archduke was assassinated. And you know when I went boom, it hit the poor kid in the front row and broke his glasses, and he was the nicest kid you'd ever meet.
You should have felt
My heart still breaks for that. Oh my God, I called the dad, offered to pay for the glasses. They were old. We needed a new pair anyway. They were so nice. I felt
I would
terrible.
have cried right in your class.
I cried.
Did you
Oh my
actually?
God, I felt
I would
terrible.
have cried.
I felt terrible. It's not funny.
I thought you were gonna say.
I
oh
just
my
needed
God.
to tell you that story.
It's kind of funny now.
But, well, he's probably laughing about it now. And at the time, you laughed about it too.
Yeah,
But here's the thing. Understand that Europe blew up. That's why I tell you this story. Okay, so let's go to page 3 of your handout. Go ahead and hit the lights.
There's a bomb.
That is the powder keg, ready to explode. And when I say powder keg, I'm talking about gunpowder.
Yeah.
Ready to go boom. You mess around with fire and gunpowder, you're going to have a problem. Okay, so here's the deal. You want to think mania. And every U.S. history teacher uses this. Now, mania, I like mania because there's 5 reasons.
Okay.
Okay? Here we go. You ready? What do you think one of the A's is?
Austria getting assassination.
The assassination, yeah. So the Austrian Archduke. Okay, so M is militarism. A, assassination, but we'll save that to last because that's what makes it go really boom. What do you think another one is? Something Washington said don't do. No entangling.
Foreign affairs. Affairs.
Okay, what's another word for it? When we join alliances. Alliances. Imperialism. Some wanted to get land, take over. And what do you think the N is when people are proud of their country and all that good stuff? Nationalism. Which, by the way, AP students, we should think of the War of 1812, which led to high nationalism. Nobody cared that we lost to Britain. But nationalism was high. We had the Monroe Doctrine. We shut off the United States to everybody. We're proud, and then we moved westward. Does that sound familiar, John? Depends how you look at it, right? The American people didn't care. They were proud. They didn't care if we lost or not. And you know, actually today I was talking about that, and I said I likened it. The greatest of the War of 1812 is kind of like Britain and France. Or I'm sorry, Britain and France. France is out, so Britain and the U.S. It's kind of like when you all participate, everybody gets a trophy. So Britain and the U.S. each got trophies for the war. John's like, no, it doesn't work for you. Me either. Anyway, militarism. Let's talk about militarism. Think warfare, think guns, think armies. You got it. Go.
So, like in these, we write militarism and then write the examples.
However you want to do it. That's for you to do however you want to do it. Okay? And if you go over to page 4, you'll see it again. Yeah. Okay? Okay, so militarism. Industrial Revolution led to large advanced militaries. As a result, an arms race began among European nations, especially Britain and Germany. What's an arms race? What's an arms race?
See who can get the biggest gun.
Biggest guns, biggest military. Yes, that's the arms race. That does not mean we're arm wrestling.
Man, you saw wars like that? You could do that.
They
Everyone
what?
takes their strongest man and has an arm wrestling contest, and
That's
whoever
how you-
wins that wins the war.
Thought about that. One of the students said like maybe they should do something like a celebrity boxing match with like those huge boxing gloves between. It was during the presidential election last year. Instead of all this fighting and mudslinging and all that, let's just have like a celebrity boxing match. Or
Rocky
something.
Balboa.
There you go.
Whoever
He's
wins,
on my team.
Then nobody dies.
except one
Nations
arm.
glorified military and kept an army prepared for war. Key word there is mobilizing. Mobilizing means you're ready to go. Mobilizing means you raise an army. Now, none of these by itself would lead to war. All of them together do.
Yeah.
Obviously, countries have always been prepared to go to war. Doesn't mean all of a sudden it's going to happen. Okay?
So they just prepared so much for war that it happened.
Well, no, I'm saying because of all the other factors involved. See, you could have an assassination, but if you're not prepared to go to war, then it doesn't mean anything. But if you put them all together, then it does.
If there was another
Okay.
the world would explode.
God forbid. All right, on your handout, page 1. Let's take a look. Who are the allies?
France, Russia, Great Britain, and Italy.
You're missing one big one.
U.S.
Well, eventually, U.S. Yep, I'll give you that. This was the Triple Entente. Yeah. Missing one big one. Where did this all start? No, it happened over in Europe.
This is what it said in my book.
We're missing one big one. The small country that was blamed for the assassination. Serbia, yes. Make sure you have that. Serbia. Now, Serbia really was responsible for the assassination. Then they were out of it, quite honestly. Yeah. Because what happened is Russia gets involved and backs Serbia. We'll talk more about that.
Why'd they kill them anyways?
What's that?
Why'd the assassination happen
Mostly because Serbia felt that Austria-Hungary took the territory and they wanted it back. Okay, that's the simplest way to answer it. How about the Central Powers? What are Central Powers? Yes, and there you have Austria-Hungary and the Ottoman Empire. Yep, Bulgaria. Now, right off the bat here, let's understand one thing. Germany is a country that's going to be blamed for it. Germany is going to be blamed for it.
But why?
Because they gave a blank check of support to Austria-Hungary. What does that mean? Money, weapons, military. Germany is going to be blamed for the war. And you need to understand that because that's going to lead us on a collision course to World War II. Because Germany says we're going to get back what we lost. Just right, AH. Empire. Okay. So, Germany, Italy, Austria-Hungary made up the Triple Alliance. And over there, England, France, Russia formed the Triple Entente. Okay? Now, AP is not going to test you on which countries are part of the alliances, and I'm not going to test you on that. But you need to understand the war to understand the outcome. The key here for us to understand is how this impacts the United States. Okay? That's the key. But you got to understand the map as well. Okay? And we got to understand the war as well, as you can see there.
3AA.
All right, go to 3AAAA.
Was it triple A?
Sounds good to me.
I found it. Triple A?
Now, the first thing up at the top I want you to do is find Austria-Hungary.
I found it.
And do you see Serbia there? Okay, those countries are no longer with us. See what happened? They're gone after the war. So if you go down to the bottom, then you see a map in 1922.
Germany's bigger.
Much bigger. But Germany has land taken from it too, if you look closely. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. Try to answer those questions at the bottom. And by all means, you can team up. Okay? Try those questions at the bottom.
Isn't it true?
Now, you're not going to turn this in, so.
Where's the size? I think it's what the bottom two nations was Germany.
Nation with which two nations, though, but Germany's not two nations. Right?
The central power was divided. I thought that meant like the three.
That's
One was like gone.
the central power that was divided into two nations.
I'm confused. Yeah, what was that question?
It's not asking what the
Oh.
treaty is, it's asking you which country was divided.
Which country is it?
Austria.
Yep.
Austria.
There you go.
The nation with which Germany had a common border in 1914, but not 1920. Hungary?
Austria.
It'd be
Belgium.
Wouldn't it be?
No.
Wouldn't it be Hungary though? Because Austria is still by Hungary's own separate place now.
Yeah. No, Switzerland's still
The nation.
Yeah, it's not Switzerland.
The nation that included the pre-war nation of Serbia. What? There's three nations in there. The nation that included the pre-war nation of Serbia.
The nation that included the pre-war nation of Serbia. Okay? So find Serbia and see what happened.
Czechoslovakia.
Agreed.
Where the heck is that?
The long one in the middle.
I'm not spelling this right.
It's on the paper.
You could go with Czech Republic, that's fine.
I'm just right. Listen, if I know what it is, it doesn't need to be hard.
Turkey's eastern border. Isn't that Czech? No, this one. Czech.
Oh.
I think that's what. Yeah.
It is. And then you also have Yugoslavia created too.
Right?
What?
It's the new eastern border.
You said Is this all Germany?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought those were two different. Central power that Germany lose territory was. It didn't lose power, right? They gained territory.
Yeah, but he said they did lose a little bit.
Italy.
So the central power that didn't lose anything. I don't know. Italy gained territory at the
France gained some.
Are those considered central?
No, those are the Allies. Wasn't the country.
That could be Germany. But like you said, Germany lost some.
Bulgaria.
Bulgaria. Where did you miss that?
It's like Bulgaria went down to the bottom then. It's like Turkey did on here.
They didn't lose any?
They gained, looks like they gained a little bit.
Bulgaria does look bigger.
Yeah. Italy, but it says on there that Italy stuff. The central. Oh, yes. Is this Italy? Is Italy a central power?
Italy is, yes.
Like, didn't lose anything?
So it would be. I think it's Italy.
Italy gained territory at the expense of
I think Bulgaria does. France.
France. Yeah.
Italy gained territory at the expense of
No, it wouldn't be France.
It's not France.
It would be Austria-Hungary.
Yes, Austria-Hungary.
We did it.
Now, the key there is to understand how Europe changes. So once again, look at the map at the top, look at the map at the bottom. And notice Austria-Hungary is gone. Germany is actually losing territory. The part that Germany loses is not on here, but it's called the Sudetenland, and I need you to know that. Germany loses territory as a result of the war. Why is that important? Anybody figure out why? Remember that 31-year thing?
Because it makes Hitler mad.
There's
Or
a
Germany in
World War
general.
II.
Germany in general, and that's one of the reasons why we have World War II. Germany wants to get back what it feels it was unfairly blamed for and what they unfairly lost. Remember, Germany's blamed for this. But it was actually Austria-Hungary, actually Serbia that assassinated the Austrian Archduke. Okay, so again, go ahead and hit the lights there, take a look. All right, you see what happened. Austria-Hungary's gone. Germany loses this territory right here, Czechoslovakia. And this is called the Sudetenland. Very rich in oil, very rich in resources. And Germany wants it back. Okay? So here you go. The web of alliances. Back to 3 there. Page 3. Or 4, whichever
The
page
normal
you're using.
three.
3 or 3A, whichever one you're using. But take a look at what happened here. This whole thing started between Austria-Hungary and then Serbia, but look at the other countries that jump in. Okay? Serbia, notice they don't even put over there on the right. Now, how does this all happen? Well, John and I are having a fight. I get my butt kicked. Sarah jumps in on my side. Well, then Kemper says, that's not cool. She jumps in on John's side. Madden jumps in on Sarah's side. Katie jumps in on John's side. You see what just happened here? We have a little skirmish that all of a sudden turned into this big, blown out of proportion escalation. Boy, can we ever relate to that in life, can't we?
Why would people care enough to join in if it wasn't their problem?
There, now we're talking. And you know, if sometimes people would.
Sounds like high school
No.
values.
Okay, so take a look at this. Take a look at this.
If you touch
Now-
me off,
There you go, Shade, do it.
if you touch me off,
If you make a move out,
if you hit me that little
Somebody else
fella
jump
off,
in.
if you strike my friend off,
if you hit him off.
hi there. If you don't,
You see how we have the alliances issue.
Yes.
Imperialism, national rivalry goes global. Okay, real quick, Kemper, go.
European nations competed fiercely for colonies in Africa and Asia. Competition for colonies often pushed Europeans to win the war, and as competition increased European rivalry and Germany and France almost went to war 3 times over Morocco.
Make sure you look at your assignments. Nothing for tomorrow, but several this week. Don't wait till the last minute, okay? Jump on it.
Forget about the BBQ, guys.
And that too.
Oh yeah.
That should have been done already. You had all weekend. Shade, be a good example.
Oh, I will.
That's good. Tell them you're on it. Okay, good job, man. You too.
I didn't do it.